Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, oh, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jaya Radha, Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radha, Radha, Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radha, Giridhari Radha, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Radha, Lila Madhav Radha, Lila Madhav Radha, Lila Madhav Radha, Radha, Lila Madhav Radha, Lila Madhav Radha, Lila Madhav Radha, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nittai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nittai Gaura Haribo. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Stottara Sata Shishimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Stottara Sata Shishimad Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Iskcon Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Godi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prince Gako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Shri Vrindavan Ki Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Yamuna Maya Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Nitya Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All the glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ashtasakya Vrinda ki Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Srila Prabhupada ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Canto number 11, chapter number 12, beyond renunciation and knowledge, and text number 18 and 19. So I think for recitation, we do the next verse, 19th, and we'll come back to 18th. Okay, so please repeat after me. Evam gadik karma gatir visargo grano raso drik sparsha shrutischa sankalpa vijnana matabhimana sutram rajas sattva tamo vikara evam gadik karma gatir visargo grano rasodruk sparsha shrutischa sankalpa vijnana matabhimana sutram rajas sattva tamo vikara evam gadik karma gatir visargo grano raso drik sparsha shrutischa sankalpa vijnana matabhimana sutram rajas sattva tamo vikara. Please chant. Evam gadik karma gatir visargo grano raso drik sparsha shrutischa sankalpa vijnana matabhimana sutram rajas sattva tamo vikara. Evam gadik karma gatir visargo grano raso drik sparsha shrutischa sankalpa vijnana matabhimana sutram rajas sattva tamo vikara. Anyone else? Okay, we'll do word for word. Evam, thus, gadihi, speech, karma, the function of the hands, gatihi, the function of the legs, visargaha, the functions of the genitals and anus, granaha, smell, rasaha, taste, drik, sight, sparshaha, touch, shrutihi, hearing, cha, also, sankalpa, the mind's function, vijnanam, the function of intelligence and consciousness, atha, moreover, abhimanaha, the function of false ego, sutram, the function of pradhana, are the subtle cause of material nature, rajaha, of the mode of passion, sattva, goodness, tamaha, and of ignorance, vikaraha, the transformation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The functions of the working senses, the organ of speech, the hands, the legs, the genital and the anus, and the functions of the knowledge acquiring senses, the nose, tongue, eyes, skin and ears, along with the functions of the subtle senses of mind, intelligence, consciousness and false ego, as well as the function of the subtle pradhana and the interaction of the three modes of material nature. All these should be understood as my materially manifest form. Purport. By the word, actually let's do this. Let's go to verse number 18. I will read just the Sanskrit. You don't need to repeat. Yatana lakhe nilabandhurushma balena darunya dimahyamana anuh prajato havisha samedhate tataiva me vyaktiriyam hivani. Translation: when sticks of kindling wood are vigorously rubbed together, heat is produced by contact with air, and a spark of fire appears. Once the fire is kindled, ghee is added, and the fire blazes. Similarly, I become manifest in the sound vibration of the Vedas. Could someone read the purport, please? Whoever has the microphone. First paragraph. Yeah, text 18, first paragraph.
Purport. Lord Krishna here explains the most confidential meaning of Vedic knowledge. The Vedas first regulate ordinary material work and channel the fruits into ritualistic sacrifices, which ostensibly reward the performer with future benefits. The real purpose of these sacrifices, however, is to accustom a materialistic worker to offering the fruits of his work to a superior Vedic authority. An expert fruitive worker gradually exhausts the possibilities of material enjoyment and naturally gravitates towards the superior stage of philosophical speculation on his existential situation. By increased knowledge, one becomes aware of the unlimited glories of the Supreme and gradually takes to the process of loving devotional service to the transcendental absolute truth. Lord Krishna is the goal of Vedic knowledge, as the Lord states in Bhagavad Gita, Vedais cha sarveraham eva vedyaha. Bhagavad Gita 15:15. The Lord gradually becomes manifest in the progression of Vedic rituals, just as fire is gradually manifest by the rubbing of firewood. The words havisa samedate, the fire increases by addition of ghee, indicate that by the progressive advancement of Vedic sacrifice, the fire of spiritual knowledge gradually blazes, illuminating everything and destroying the chain of fruitive work. Lord Krishna considered Uddhava to be the most qualified person to hear this elaborate transcendental knowledge. Therefore, the Lord mercifully instructs Uddhava so that he may enlighten the sages at Badarik Ashram, thus fulfilling the purpose of the sages' lives.
Thank you. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanyam Ishwaram Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Hanumat Preshaka Swamin Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we have two verses to talk about. Yesterday His Grace Saranga Thakur Prabhu has covered the summary of what's going on. We've been talking about the summary for past few times. And why is Krishna speaking these verses? Yes, that's a general answer, but specifically in the context, why is he talking about this here? The verse from yesterday also includes in this series, so that's why he was, yes, Prabhu.
Uddhava was saying that he was bewildered by the instructions that Krishna is giving, because he seems to be giving this very broad and general instruction about do this, do that, but all these things don't seem to be, they seem like contradictory if you try to apply all of them.
Yes.
But then he's answering that specifically he's instructing all the other people in general who can actually be accommodated by the Vedic teachings wherever they're at in their progressive advancement of consciousness. But now he's instructing Uddhava about the highest goal of coming to the level of devotional service, as it said in the purport, for the sake so he can go and enlighten the sages of Badarik Ashram.
Yes, yes. So Uddhava, he was just like Arjuna, was confused. Arjuna was thinking these instructions are equivocal. It seems to go this way, it seems to go that way. Can you tell me one thing? He asked Krishna, Ekam vada, tell me one thing. Tell me one thing for sure what to do. You tell me this, you tell me this, should I do this or should I do that? Just tell me one thing what to do. That's one perspective. And second one is there is also some hidden thing here, is when Krishna finally talked about the gopis, and he also said, then I left the gopis, they were in separation. Uddhava was like, what, you just leave your devotees? Like that? That's not good. And of course Uddhava met the gopis also, he took the message to the gopis. So he was also bewildered by that, because the last thing he was talked about was the devotion of the gopis. He says that's the highest, but I let them go. Right? But there is, the hidden meaning is Krishna is present in this bhava, in everything. And so there are two things. One is obvious, the obvious one, which is he talked about karma mishra bhakti, jnana mishra bhakti. He also talked about austerities, tyaga, so many different things he described. Yoga. So that's also one of the reasons. But in this verse number 17 itself, then he kind of described, by keeping me always with them, somehow or other, Lord Krishna is to be kept within one's mind. In the purport to the last chapter, it's not clear what I'm saying, that how Uddhava was bewildered and all that stuff. But if you see some of the lines, you see that in the purport, that Lord Krishna becomes manifest in the material world even to those devotees who are not completely advanced in Krishna consciousness and whose vision is not completely purified. Manomaya indicates that somehow or other Lord Krishna is to be kept within one's mind. So that bhava of Krishna should always be carried, whether he is personally there or not. But Krishna also kind of goes back and explains in detail, like he did after second chapter. Then from third chapter onward, he's going into details and explaining all these things. And even towards the middle 6 chapters talk about, middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, what is the subject matter? Middle 6, Bhakti Yoga, predominantly. It's not exactly like, okay, this, but the major portion is Bhakti Yoga. But then afterwards, again, chapter 13 onwards, what happens? He again goes back to Sankhya type of thing, right? So you will see this back and forth based on the questions that Arjuna will ask. So you see the same thing in here. So Krishna is kind of going back to Sankhya. He'll again do this later also, much more detail. So in these verses, the first thing he's talking about, Krishna's presence in yajna. in sacrifices. So then, but he is specifically saying, in the previous verse, it was in the words, the Supreme Lord manifesting in the sounds of the Vedas. He is present in Vedic sound, in Omkara, in all the sounds of the Vedas, Krishna is present. But it is not so easy to extract. Instead of extracting, what happens is distraction. We don't extract Krishna from it, but we get distracted in this vast Vedic ocean. So, but the Vedic mantras are chanted along with this fire sacrifice as well. So he's giving the example of rubbing two pieces of wood together. So when you rub, even when you rub your hands together, what happens? What happens when you're rubbing? What do you feel? Friction is the process. What's the outcome? You feel some heat, right? Where is that heat coming from? So it's actually there in the hands itself. But when the friction is there, it's coming out. So two pieces of wood, fire is already present in the wood. Fire is already present in the wood. Okay? It's not that you're bringing it from somewhere. You're extracting what's already present in it. So when you're rubbing the pieces of wood, there's friction. So the support of air. Air is always a friend of the fire. They're buddies. Okay? What is that verse? Dhruva Maharaj, when he's attacking his enemies, he offers prayers to Gada and Chakra. Chakram yugantanalatigmanemi brahmat samantad bhagavat prayuktam dandagdi arisainyamaashu kaksham yatavata hutosaka. So he's saying, Chakra, please come. Oh, Chakra of the Lord, I pay my respects to you. At the end of the creation, you just spin and set everything to fire, and then the air will help the fire as a friend. And everything, just like that, you burn away all my enemies. And we can pray this to burn away our internal enemies. When we come in front of the Lord, Nrsimhadev has all these weapons we can offer for Gada, we can offer for Chakra, these prayers. So air is the friend of the fire. So together, here also, Anila Bandhu. Okay, the word used is Anila Bandhu. Bandhu is what? Relative. Anila is air. So here air, who is the relative of Anala. Anala is fire and Anila is air. So with the help, then the friction and the air is there, and then a spark is produced. And then we pour ghee and say mantras. Idam Vishnave, idam namama. This is for Lord Vishnu. This is not for me. When yajna is performed, when the oblations are being done, you say, idam, this is for Vishnu. Idam Achyutaya, you say the names of the Lord. This is for the Lord. Idam na mama, this is not for me, this is for him. So this is the mood. Sacrifice means we are giving up for the Supreme Lord, for higher purpose. So therefore, this idam na mama, this is not mine. That's the main element. Is you perform, what do you use in yajna? What are the elements used for sacrifice? Ghee, grains, and where are all these coming from? The earth, right? When there's rain, everything is produced, cow eats grass, we get the grain, and then we offer them in yajna. So through our karma, we produce these things, and then we offer the results to the Supreme Lord as sacrifice. And so through the friction, we are extracting, we are offering, and in that Vedic sounds, and within that fire, Krishna is there. Yagno vai Vishnuhu. Yagna means Vishnu. And this performing of yagna is essential. Okay? Gandiva, can you pull up 3:10 of the Bhagavad Gita? In a different tab, so you won't lose this one. Yeah. Do you know how to open a new tab? Okay. Yeah. So here, Sahayagna Prajasrishtva Purovacha Prajapatihi Anena Prasavishyadvam Eshavostu Ishtakamadhuk. He's saying, who is speaking these words? Prajapati. Now here the word Prajapati, in the purport, I believe Srila Prabhupada explains it as Lord Brahma. In some other places, he attributes that to Lord Krishna or Vishnu. Either way, it doesn't matter. So Prajapati, what did he do? Pura Uvacha. Long time ago, in the beginning of the creation, Uvacha, he said these words. What did he say? Saha yagnaha sruštva praja anena prasavishyadvam. He's saying, he actually in the beginning, he created, like before speaking, he created. Sruštva uvacha. After creating, he spoke. But what did he create? What did he sruštva? Two things. Sahayagna prajaha. Praja means people. Okay? So Lord Brahma, he created all these people. And he also created, along with people, he created yagna. So yagna came when people came. When creation happened, yagna also was given at the beginning of the creation. And then uvacha. Once he created both, he said, he told to the people, anena. He created people and yagna. So to the people he is looking and he pointing to yagna. Anena. Using this yagna, prasavishyadvam eshavostu ishtakamaduk. Prasavishyadvam means you multiply, you flourish. Literally it means, it comes from su, the dhatu suyate, to create, procreate. So you flourish, you become many, you have families, and you flourish by using this yagna. And what is this yagna? Let there be ishtakamaduk. Now, dug means to milk, right? So for sustenance, for nourishment, we need milk. As soon as the baby takes birth, immediately milk is produced from mother. Before that, it is not produced. Right? Am I right? Huh? So this is the design of the Lord. Immediately. So this similarly, for other necessities in life, what is the true milk? What is the dug? Dugdha. To dug means to milk. So to extract. Ishtakama dug. It's going to fulfill all your desires. So whatever you need is obtained from anena, this yagna. From this yagna, you will get everything you want. But what do we do now? We want to get everything using science, right? We sacrifice rats in the laboratories as experiments to discover different medicines and things. Through this, we want to fulfill our needs. Science, the goal of science is to fulfill the needs of humanity. But our process is, yagna is the means to fulfill the needs of humanity. And Krishna is present in that yagna, Ishtakamaduk. And in that purport to this verse, Srila Prabhupada explains that in order to perform that yagna, we need so many things, so many ingredients. So it's a very costly affair. And also we need brahmanas who can properly utter the Vedic mantras. The Vedic mantras are coming from Krishna, as we have seen in verse number 17. And he is also present in the yajnas. But this kind of fire yajna, fire sacrifice, there's no qualification to do it now. Therefore, the yajna is in the form of the holy name of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yajnanam, among all the yajnas, I am japa. Yajnanam japa yajnosmi. And also in the Bhagavatam 11.5.32, Yagnai Sankirtana Praya Yajantihi Sumedasaha. Sankirtana Yajna. So for Kali Yuga, this is the main process. There was, on LinkedIn there was discussion, somebody posted women doing fire yajna. And there was one Brahmana, he's vehemently opposing, this is not your dharma. And then I was thinking, actually it is nobody's dharma in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, nobody is qualified to do this yajna. But for Sankirtana yajna, everybody is qualified. We are not gonna. When yajna was performed, demigods used to come personally to accept the offerings. Personally. Just like you invite somebody for prasad. This is how demigods used to come. Now if we do yajna, demigods will not come, police will come. What is this smoke? So, the better thing is Sankirtana yajna in this age, day and age, chanting the holy names of the Lord. And Krishna is present in the holy name. Just like he is present in the yajna, Krishna is present in the holy name. Nam Namakari Bahuda Nijasarva Shakti. With all potencies, Krishna is present in the holy name. And yajna has to be performed at particular time, place, circumstance and ingredients and all those. But for this one, Niyamita Smaranena Kala. There is no specific time. In any condition, at any time, we can always take the holy name of the Lord. Even at the point of death. One time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was always used to take the holy name of the Lord. And he had to go to bathroom. But his tongue wouldn't stop chanting. So he bit his tongue. And he went. So there was a little boy. Mahaprabhu, why are you doing this? Oh, because, I'm going to restroom and I don't want to take the holy name over there. He says, no. Krishna's holy name can be chanted anywhere. And Mahaprabhu said, yes, you are Guru. You are right. So for holy name of the Lord, there is no any restrictions. This yajna can be performed anywhere, anytime by anyone. You are qualified, I am qualified, no need to fight. Everyone has opportunity for chanting the holy name of the Lord. So this is the beauty of the holy name of the Lord. And why Krishna is describing all these things is another thing that is mentioned in the purport. So he is teaching all these things to Uddhava, not because Uddhava has to do these things, but so that Uddhava can carry this knowledge to the sages at Badarikashrama. Before Krishna is leaving this planet, Krishna instructs Uddhava. And there's also another person he instructs. Who is that? Maitreya. So Maitreya is also kind of nearby. Krishna is acknowledging him. Both of them are there. And so Krishna is instructing. So I don't know how much Maitreya heard. How much, at what point Maitreya came, how much did he hear, we don't know. Because when Maitreya was teaching to Vidura, some of the confidential things were not, Maitreya didn't discuss some of the confidential things with Uddhava, Vidura. So we don't know exactly. But Vidura asking questions to Maitreya, stimulated more and more bhakti in Maitreya. Because Uddhava was already very close to Krishna. So anyway, so this is the purpose of purpose for which Krishna is speaking these verses. And the purpose of all these Vedic rituals also is to gradually, when you perform the rituals, as I mentioned, there is constant reminder that this is for Krishna. And even they perform yajnas for the sake of other gods, demigods, they have to say towards the end, Sarvam Krishnarpanam, everything is for Krishna. Everything is for the Supreme Lord. They must take the name of Vishnu, no matter which demigod you are doing the yajna for. So when they keep on doing this, gradually they'll ask the question, what is the purpose of this? Why are we doing this? And in that 310, Ishtakamaduk and Prasavishyadvam, Srila Prabhupada explains, Ishtakamaduk means it will give you whatever is needed for your sustenance in this material world and also for liberation. So that means that it is also the means for liberation. So if someone is properly intelligent, they can gradually through that get to the point of liberation, getting out of this world through the process of yajna. But there is more distraction, as we have seen through so many examples in the Bhagavatam. The latest one was the Brahmanas, Yagnika Brahmanas in Krishna Lila. The wives of Brahmanas were ready to give prasadam to Krishna, but they were not. They were like, don't disturb us, we are doing fight sacrifice. They didn't even talk to the boys. The boys came, they were talking, my dear Brahmanas, it's the right time of yajna, you can give us food. They're like, just kind of, they just totally ignored them. They thought we are doing so important thing, such an important thing, these boys are just disturbing us. Who is Krishna? Who is Balaram? Right? So they did not know the purpose. But Vedaischa sarver ahameva vadya. Krishna has to be known. So then in verse number 19 that we chanted, could someone please read the purport?
By the word Gadi, or speech, the Lord concludes his discussion about his manifestation as Vedic vibrations and describes the functions of the other working senses, along with the knowledge-acquiring senses, the subtle functions of consciousness, pradhana, and the interaction of the three modes of material nature. A Krishna-conscious person sees the entire material world as a manifestation of the Lord's potencies. There is therefore no legitimate scope for material sense gratification, because everything is an expansion from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and belongs to Him. One who can understand the expansion of the Lord within subtle and gross material manifestations gives up his desire to live in this world. In the spiritual world, everything is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. The exclusive feature of the material world is that here the living entity dreams that he is Lord. A sane person, giving up this hallucination, finds no attractive features in the kingdom of Maya and therefore returns home, back to Godhead.
Thank you. So this verse is actually full Sankhya. So what does Sankhya mean? To count. The numbers are also called Sankhya. So Sankhya, to count, to analyze, analytical knowledge is called Sankhya. So even the modern scientific understanding, they are towards the Sankhya, but in an atheistic manner, that there is no person, no intelligence behind this. It is mere probability, combination of different elements. And recently, the Nobel Prize in Physics, Jai Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava ki Jai, Radha Giridhari ki Jai, Giri Govardhan ki Jai, Nitai Chaitanya Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra ki Jai, Prahlad Narsingh Dev ki Jai, Panchatattva ki Jai, Guru Parampara ki Jai. The Nobel Prize in Physics was for quantum mechanics, in the field of quantum mechanics, that was given recently. And what they proved is there is influence of something, millions, billions miles away on what is in this room. Okay? But it is not precisely predictable how they influence each other. Okay? So Einstein had this quote, God doesn't play dice. Meaning it's very properly orchestrated. But they believe there is some randomness, some kind of, you cannot tell because it's so many light years away, and there is influence, there's some relationship between these two that we cannot understand. So they try to analyze the minute particles. The idea is if I can go to the smallest thing and I can understand, then I'll understand everything. But usually that can be the case. For example, this building, a building is constructed using small multiple bricks. So brick, then you pile up, you can make small room, you can make big room, you can make kitchen, you can make a restroom. All you need to understand is that little brick, right? And then you go and you get to it. So therefore, you want to understand the smallest possible thing, the interaction that's happening, then I can build a big thing. So even in software, you have object-oriented. You create these little objects and you combine those objects, software objects, and you can make big, big things, right? So Sankhya, you want to analyze all these pieces, and from that you can build bigger and bigger things, and the entire creation will be on a small equation that I can put on my t-shirt and say, I understood everything now, right? But not necessarily, it's so complex, the creation. So the way this is explained in our analytical way, in our tradition, is through these different elements, through 24 elements. So Krishna is talking about, Gadi means speech. Okay? In Gaurarati, Shiva Shuka Narada Preme Gada Gada Gadgada, right? So the choking of the voice. So Gadi is this speech. Gadi means speech. And karma is the action. Literally karma means action. But here it is, the action is performed by what? Whose function is the activities? When we say it is the action of the hands. Using the hands, we do a lot of things, the karma. So I'm taking this here, putting it there, this is all karma. We don't, of course, they don't have legs, they may try to do certain things, hands, they may do some things with legs as well. But generally, this means the hands here. And gati means to go, gamanam, destination, sometimes it is used. Radha Krishna Gatir Mama. Radha and Krishna are my gati, my goal, my destination. So gati is coming from gam dhatu, means to go. And what do you use to go? The legs. So that is the legs. And visarga. Now visarga also means creation of Brahma. Secondary creation of Brahma is visarga. So visarga also means to let go. To the excretion. The stool and urine, the functions, those are the functions, to excrete. So even in creation it is letting go, right? You're from Mahavishnu, the breathing is happening and all these elements are let go and combined. So you're excreting. So these are the organs, the anus and the genitals. So these are also visarga. So the speech, the hands, the legs, the anus and the genitals. These are also called karmendriyas. Even though karma, the action, literally we use hands, but these are all performing some activity. While I'm speaking, while I'm walking, using my hands, excretion, all these are activities that I'm performing. So these are action senses. And then he says, grano. Grana means to smell. Okay? And rasa is the taste. Tongue. Nose, tongue. Drik. What does drik mean? The eyes. Eyes. Vision, to see. Sparsha is the touch. So which is the skin. Shruti, hearing, the ears. So these are the knowledge acquiring senses. If I ask you, Benjamino, what is the color of that cloth? Yeah. You think it's orange? Saffron, orange. How did you tell that? used your eyes. So the eyes helped you to acquire that knowledge of the color. Okay? Now, this cushion you are sitting on, Gaurahari Prabhu, is it soft? Is it hard? Yeah. It is soft. So how did you tell? Yeah, but also which sense did you? Did you look with your eyes and say, oh, I can see that this is soft? Sense of touch. You're sitting on it and okay, you go like this, you did. I saw that. Right? So you, with your skin, your touch, you're feeling and you're saying this is soft, this is hard. So you're acquiring the knowledge of softness and hardness through this skin. So that's another one. Now if I ask you, is this sweet or is it bitter? Can you smell and tell? No. How did you say? You can tell with smell? I mean, if it is particularly too much chilly, you can tell, right? Because it's burning in your nose also, right? But the smell is using the smell nose, you can smell what it is. It's fragrant or not. And then the sound using your ears, and taste you can tell by your tongue. And we use sometimes, in order to recognize, the senses may be used interchangeably as well. For example, like if I want to tell who Gaurahari is, I can just look at him from far and everything and tell. But if Puppy has to tell, oh, that's Gaurahari. Puppy can smell Gaurahari. Even if he, puts a bag on top of him and goes to Puppy, Puppy can tell. Those who are online and hearing who don't know who Puppy is. Who is Puppy? Puppy is the friend in our farm, Bhakti Urban Farm. Those who don't know can come and meet Puppy. Puppy is a very good friend. Puppy is a dog. It's not good. He eats your shoes. Maybe he loves you so much. But he smells and identifies. So that's knowledge. Our knowledge, maybe we can look up and we can see and tell. But you acquire knowledge from these senses. And you may come to different conclusions using that knowledge. And sometimes, the other things may also be needed. Someone must have already told him, his mom must have told him, this is yellow, this is orange, this is saffron. Yes, mommy, this is yellow, right? So there's other input also to give you those, but then you use eyes to recognize that, to gain that knowledge. So these are the knowledge acquiring senses. And then sankalpa. Sankalpa means it is the mind is taking a determination. We say sometimes, usually in the Vedic tradition, before you take a vow, you're going to do something, you take sankalpa. So you take water and then you promise that you're going to do it. Like Bali Maharaj, what did he do when Vamana Dev asked for it? He took some water and he poured the water and he said, yes, I'll give you 3 steps of land. So you take sankalpa, you do achman and say, today I am going to recite entire Bhagavad Gita on Gita Jayanti. You take sankalpa. Aham patami. I am going to read this. Or yajna, when during the time of fire sacrifice, I don't know if you notice, they say, Jambudvipe, in the Jambudvipa, in the Bharatakanda, Jambudvipe, Bharatakande, you can say Jambudvipe, this is what? North America, Uttara America Kande, America Deshe, Texas Rashtre, Houston Nagare, Aham, Sri Krishna Prityardam, for the pleasure of the Lord. Upanayana samskaram karishyami. I am doing this Upanayana samskara, and you take the water and you release the water, and you do sankalpa. Means this is determination of your mind. And this is happening using your mind. You take thinking, feeling and willing. Ultimately that willing, that's a sankalpa. Is you determined to do that. You will, then take a vow to do something. So these are the functions of the mind. And then sankalpa vijnana. Vijnana means using the intelligence. gives you the ability to discriminate what is right, what is wrong. Actually, there are 5 functions for intelligence. 3, 26, probably 30 or something. One of the functions of intelligence is sleeping. If somebody sleeps a lot, you say, Prabhu, you are very intelligent. So without sleeping, intelligence will not work. What happens if you don't sleep properly? If they ask you something, what's it? You don't know what you're doing. So sleep is also necessary. And doubting. You doubt something. And that's also a function of intelligence. You're asking questions, right? And you may go to wrong comprehension sometimes. And right comprehension is also a function of intelligence. And so this ability to comprehend is also, that helps you to discriminate. And also another one is memory. Memory is also a function of intelligence. So this is also important. Memory, when we memorize something, it's also a function of intelligence. So all of these are coming from Krishna. You can all sit, curtains will open soon in 6-7 minutes. So these are all coming from Krishna. And also false ego. This is abhimana. Mana means recognition, identity. Abhimana means too much of it. This is going towards it. This is it. So this identity, which is in a false way, false ego, is also coming from Krishna. And the 3 modes, Raja, Sattva, Tama. Gandiva, do you have that picture? Can you pull it up? So to summarize all this, there's a slide here. I think you can zoom it and go to top left first. So in the beginning, actually, we have this desire to enjoy separately from Krishna in the spiritual world, right? This desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, and that is the root cause. And then the living entity comes into Mahat Tattva. So before Mahat Tattva, there is Pradhana. Pradhana means these material substances in unmanifested stage. You cannot differentiate. Sometimes you see this undifferentiated substance, non-differentiated substance. This is the Pradhana. Okay? And then, now there is Prakriti and there is Mahat Tattva. Sometimes they are used interchangeably. So in the Mahat Tattva, there is also this false ego, the desire turns into this false ego in the Mahat Tattva. And this false ego is the one, along with the modes of material nature, along with the time factor, it is the one that's producing all other elements. So they're there in unmanifested, all the way coming from Krishna, but they take the shapes and forms because of the living entity's desires. So using the time factor, the false ego in the mode of passion, scroll down, the mode of passion, this orange color, what happens? It produces intelligence, it produces karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. So the 10 things that were described here, gadi, karma, gati, visarga, grana, raso, druk, sparsha, shruti. So this mouth, hands, genitals, legs, anus, all these things are called karmendriyas. They are coming from false ego in the mode of passion. And false ego in the mode of passion also produces jnanendriyas. Ears, skin, eyes, nose and tongue. They are coming from false ego in the mode of passion. And also intelligence. Intelligence is also said to be false ego in the mode of passion. Even though intelligence is considered to be higher than the mind in the sequence of controlling things, so it is produced from passion. And then false ego in the mode of ignorance, go towards slide a little bit, then it produces 4 different things. Okay, it produces it produces 10 things. It produces the gross elements, and it also produces sense objects. Sense objects are called tanmatras. And gross elements are called panchabhutas, panchamahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, ether. And for each of these 5 gross elements, there is a sense object called tanmatra. Okay? So sound is connected to ether and also hear by our ears. Our ears, what do? They hear the sound, but that sound is coming from ether. Okay? So the indriya is the ear, the element is the sky, what's present in it, tanmatra, is the sound, sense object. Okay? So then touch, same thing. So skin is the organ, air is the element from which it comes, and touch is the sense object. So in order to acquire sense objects, senses are hankering. My ears want to hear some music, touching the soft things, and form, eyes wanting to see, and the fire is the element and form is the sense object. And similarly, tongue is the organ, water is the element and taste is the sense object within the water, within the watery things. And similarly, earth connected to smell and the nose. And go towards right. So this is false ego in the mode of passion. And false ego in the mode of goodness, it produces the mind and the demigods who control the senses. So for the hands are controlled by Indradev. Mitra controls the anus, like that. For different organs, the eyes are controlled by the sun and moon. So we have, I think by the sun mainly. So we have these predominating deities who are controlling also. So the process of yajna makes proper connection with the demigods, and therefore everything when it is used in the service of the Lord, it is in a healthy state. And when we go against, we suffer. So this may be a little bit too analytical, too much, but that's what these things Krishna is talking about here. But ultimately, what is the main thing we need to do yajna? Simply, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Namaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata. Simple process. We don't need to worry about all these things. All these things is to know that this is the topmost. So I'll stop here. Questions, comments? Are you able to see Krishna in all the elements?
Hare Krishna. Thank you for class. So like as far as like the intelligence and mind, like the intelligence discriminates, you said it has like doubt, what was the other thing? And like memory is a function of the intelligence.
Yes.
So like what does the mind do? Like how do they like work together? Is the mind just like a space where this happens? Like you're just kind of observing? Or like
So mind is thinking. So thinking, feeling and willing. These are the functions of the mind. So in other words, it just pops up into your mind. Just that information, just the consciousness of that particular thing, the thought, that's the mind. Nothing else need to be known. Okay? So this is Jo, right? So I can just see your form and you will be in my mind. But then if I want to know, is Joe good? Is Joe bad? Oh, he did this to me, therefore he's good or bad. Intelligence. Now the decision, oh, should I associate with Joe or no? I make a determination, then that's mine. Right? So, yes, and there's, to throw something in there, in the purport, in the translation, actually there's one more thing, nobody asked me, that's good. Consciousness. So for Vijnana, Prabhupada puts two things, they're disciples of Prabhupada, consciousness, and this is called Chitta, and this is the element of Mahatattva. Okay, and that's consciousness, which is again considered to be separate one in some other places in the Bhagavatam as well. I didn't want to confuse you, so didn't get there. Thank you. Anything else? Yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
Well, I really appreciate your breaking down all the elements and how they're all, specifically what the Lord's talking about here. But I was really struck by in this purport to text 19, how it's
Jai Shri Radha Nila Madhav ki Jai, Nitai Chaitanya Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra ki Jai, Panchatattva ki Jai, Prahlad Narsingh Dev ki Jai, Radha Giridhari ki Jai, Giri Govardhan ki Jai, Guru Parampara ki Jai.
I was really struck by cultivating the awareness of the Lord in all of His creation, in every different aspect. It can bring us to this point where, what did it say? One who can understand the expansion of the Lord within subtle and gross material manifestations gives up his desire to live in this world.
Yes.
And it said the exclusive feature of the material world is that here the living entity dreams that he is Lord. A sane person giving up this hallucination finds no attractive features in the kingdom of Maya and therefore returns home back to Godhead.
Yes, yes.
So it's like we see that it's like, okay, this is all the Lord's. Krishna's everywhere, He's doing everything. It's like, this is not mine to enjoy.
Yes, yes. That's the ultimate realization. So that's why we generally the recommendation in the Bhagavatam second canto, when Shukadeva Goswami starts teaching Parikshit Maharaj, he gives the ultimate goal, Ante Narayana Smriti, holy name is the main thing. Then you're like, okay, how do I go about doing that? Getting to that realization. He starts with what? Virat Rupa. Patalam etasya padamulam. The Patala lokas are the lotus feet of the Lord. So the very first thing is you consider this universe itself as God. And when you have that, then you develop respect. That, oh, this is Krishna. Sun and moon are Krishna's eyes. Patala are His feet. The mountains, the rivers are His veins. I believe the mountains are His bones. The trees are His hair. So when we have this, then, oh, okay, everything is Krishna. Then, higher thing, then we see, oh, Krishna is actually also intellectually guiding me from within my heart. Right? And then, oh, then I can use, Krishna is Bhagavan, I can use everything for His service. All the elements are coming from Him. Let me use first, not that just He is God, but He is also God as a person. He can accept my offerings through the sacrifices, by offering everything to Krishna. So it's a gradual progression from Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, the pantheism, mysticism, personalism. And through that, then we get to ultimate realization. Yes, I was meaning to talk about that, but I got lost in these other things. But thank you for reminding. Thank you. Okay, anything else? All right, if not, we'll stop here. Gandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrind ki jai.